Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we are going to be jumping down into the charts to take another look at Zilliqa, what has been going on most recently with this crash and what I would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free. I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. If you're looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check out our Patreon services as well, also in the link description down below. Right, let's jump right down into Zil here, right? So Zilliqa paired up with USDT, hourly chart, Binance is the data source. Now, obviously we have five pretty impulsive moves going down here, 5 waves going down, right? And this is kind of something that invalidated our, structure of what we were looking for. Well, it hasn't technically invalidated, but I think it's very, it's not probable that we're going to push up into a 5th wave higher at this point. Instead, we'll chalk that up as a 5th wave being complete. If I actually jump down into, let's actually find a better timeline here. Let me be take a look at that daily for a sec. As you can see, right, wave 1 being all the way down here, wave 2 being all the way down here, FOMO, wave 4, then wave 5 completing. The correction for Zil actually looks like it's going to come down into this range here. Again, this being a much deeper move, which would be a very large ABC, and I'll go into what that looks like in a moment. But essentially, we are talking the range of about 8.7 down to as low as around 4.2. And this is going to be compounded by selling pressure from people who were staked now trying to get out of this position before this correction gets any worse and all that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, it's not the best outlook for Zilliqa, but it is not a scam coin or anything like that. I've seen a few comments where people are calling Zilliqa a scam and all of that kind of stuff. Zilliqa is not a scam. This is how the market actually works and operates. It's Zilliqa is actually probably one of the least scammy projects out there, in theory. I mean, if you actually look into the project, the team, and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely not a scam. It's just, unfortunately, that there's so much buying pressure for this and so much supply and demand issues that the price rose so rapidly that when the selling pressure kicked in, it fell really, really hard. But we are following an interesting structure. That does mean that there's going to be some cheap Zilliqa before we potentially see the next really crazy stages, because what you've seen so far, about 590% in gains, is really small in comparison to what potentially is going to happen next. Okay, so it's going to be an interesting ride for Zil for sure. So what we've got is 5 waves down, right? And this actually marks our low point down here at about 12.6. And then we moved up with an ABC, and then we fell back down again. And what we should be tracking here on this move down are another 5 waves. So what we're looking for specifically is a correction that is consistent of a 5 waves, a 3 waves, and then a 5 waves. Okay, a 5-3-5 is a correction type, specifically when it's followed by an impulsive structure like this going up. Now, obviously, the size of this is very vastly different to what we saw this side, right? And again, we didn't necessarily have that kind of 5-3-5 structure appear here inside. Instead, we had a 5-3-5-3-5 impulsive structure. Okay, so it's a totally different structure, but I can understand why some people might get that confused. So basically, a 5-3-5 is correction, and basically the way that you look at this is a giant A wave. You have some kind of B wave, and then you have an additional 5 waves into a C wave. Okay, so it's a correction, short term and not impulsive, which would be trend-based setting. Okay, so essentially what we have is 5 waves coming down, and we've got good sub-wave counts in there, and then we obviously start to move upwards, and we start to see here that we actually move up, but we failed to actually come up higher than our 4th wave here as well. Now, it's possible that we're still stuck inside this 4th wave, but I don't think that's the right way of looking at it, because we haven't had, I mean, on the scale of things, it actually looks pretty decent with an ABC, which is an expanding flat just inside here. So you have A, B, C, and I think that actually marks quite a good point to say that this is then the next move down. So if I actually measure that, we can actually then see that we're in the realms right here. We actually come down a little bit lower, and again, you can measure that by going and taking this point here to here, move this over, which I think will then be far too deep, but it's possible, so we should just mark it out onto that 4th wave. We could potentially come down to about 10.4, the 0.618 on this move, and it's still possible that this is is basically going to be an extended fifth wave going down lower. However, I think this might actually just be our ABC, and it's actually an expanding ABC, so we come up a little bit higher, and then I think we'll have another 5 waves come down, or 3 waves and then 5 waves. It depends on how we want to look at this correction, but I do think essentially we've probably got something like this to occur, and then we'll follow this up with potentially the final set of 5 waves basically taking us down into our yellow box area, and that will end the correction. From there, once that correction is done, there's going to be an absolute blast up to the upside, in my opinion, because if we come up into our daily and we take a look at this, this being 5 waves, I think on our weekly chart all of this would denote a big wave 1, this will be in our wave 2, and then we'd have that absolutely insane launch going up for a wave 3 with a 4th and a 5th wave still to come. The other possible scenario here is that this is a giant A wave, this is our B wave, and then we still launch up with that C wave, right? So either way that we want to look at this, whether we want an impulsive structure or whether we just call it a corrective structure, with, you know, a 5, maybe even a 3 wave down and then a 5 wave up again. Again, that's a corrective structure of a 5, 3, 5. You know, an ABC going up higher still takes us into significantly higher areas than we were at previously. So if you were FOMOing into this final 5th wave here with Zilliqa, then, you know, don't worry too much about it. If I were in that position, what I would be doing would be dollar cost average all of these kind of low areas that we have, lowering my average price that I bought Zilliqa at, and then ride this up and to the point where we're actually in significant profit, and then make sure that we have good exit strategies around what we are doing. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor and I cannot offer you financial advice. What I'm doing here is kind of educating you on what I would personally be doing in this space if I were to have bought Zilliqa at those high prices. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me anyway, I was fortunate enough to buy it back in 2020, and I still hold my position. I have not sold it because it hasn't met my exit strategy rules just yet. So again, have a good strategy about what you're doing, and I think you're going to be fine to navigate this space. So if we jump up into our weekly, here you get a really good idea as to the kind of structure of what has been going on recently and why you need a correction. Right, this is a nice healthy correction that is very much due, and it's going to be compounded by the fact that people are going to be unstaking now, and they're going to be fueling this pull back down. So basically what you've got here is basically demand with a squeeze on the supply, i.e. loads of people were staked, there wasn't that much supply out there liquid that people could purchase, and as a result of that, supply and demand kicks in, the price moves up rapidly, right? It has nothing to do with the amount of money going in per se. Market cap doesn't have anything to do with price discovery, that's just a representation of price, and what you have here is basically supply and demand. Now, of course, that's going to be imbalanced because we're going to see a lot more of the supply hitting the exchanges ready to be sold or has some sell order associated with it, and as a result of that, essentially any demand is going to be easily met and the price will actually decrease. This is the same concept for pretty much anything in the world. If there's a surplus of supply, the prices will go down, and if there is a shortage of supply, the prices go up. Just look at fuel, for example. So you get a good idea and a good concept of what is going on, but the structure that sits behind this is very important, specifically from Elliott wave theory, which is basically mapping the psychology of people trading Zilliqa. So if we have 5 waves here and we have 3 waves come down, we should be thinking 5 waves up, regardless of whether or not we want this to be classed as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this weekly chart, or just an ABC that we saw previously. The structure is very important. 5 waves up, 3 waves down, 5 waves up. And as a result of that, the move on this is going to be very, very significant. Let's hypothetically say that we do pull back down into these low ranges of, let's say, 6 cents. Let's just put it there. Then we'll be talking about 43 cents on the C wave high, potentially. If we go impulsive, you're talking about well over $1. Okay, so essentially, if this is an ABC up, which we've pretty much taken a look at the weekly structure here, it looks like it is, then essentially what we're doing is basically having the B wave pull down before we have that C wave pull up, and there's some fantastic price discovery, new all-time highs, and of course, you know, some fantastic returns on investment to be had, in my opinion. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.